Hello, trading is closed on October 7th, 2014. I'm Tennant. At yesterday's close, there was no mejt signal. Based on other factors, I was looking for a gap outside of the trading range followed by a reversal. This was the gap outside of the range. This is around almost 10 points higher, so I guess that counts. I thought it was more likely than not that the gap would be up, but as usual, when I guessed wrong, it was obvious before the open that that wasn't the direction the market was going to move in. There was a target from October 2 of 1939.47. You will recall that on October 3, the market gapped up sharply and came nowhere near this price, but mejt targets never go away, and it was hit today. It's interesting because today there's a mejt target of 1950.17, which seems pretty far out of range at the moment. There's an increased risk of failure because we're making an impulsive move down, but the odds are high it will print. Since late May, the only mejt target out of hundreds of targets which hasn't printed is this one, 1914.83. Let's see how the system fared today. It clearly identified the 1939.47 target. As always, we are in a support area because we're under the target. Early in the morning, it said ultimately higher prices would print and ultimately lower prices would print. It didn't say which would happen first, but when the higher targets printed first, it was reasonable to take a position to play for the lower targets printing. In the afternoon, it said this rally was false, it wouldn't stick. It now says this drop is false and targets the thick line, 1950.17. Well, this was pretty much a free fall. What are the chances we get that price tomorrow? There are a number of things in today's chart which are compatible with a gap up tomorrow. One is we close pretty much at the low of the day. This may be a wall into the close. Each of these factors are compatible with public selling. It's usually wrong. If you look, we have a buy signal on the 15-minute chart. We've actually violated the stop briefly, but in order for it to count, we have to trade one tick lower. That means if we gap up tomorrow, the buy signal's intact and the violation does not count. This is the pattern. Here's a diamond on stilts. Here's your left stilt. Here's the right stilt. Here's the diamond, pretty obvious. Here's the first challenge of the origin of the left stilt. Usually the next challenge breaks in a big way. Had to wait for one more try, and there's the big break. This is a logical point for the drop to end. Drops make that endpoints tend to be Fibonacci targets of prior patterns. If you look, the low is a Fibonacci target of this triangle. If you take the origin of the left stilt and the origin of the right stilt, you'll see a beautiful Fibonacci relationship at the low. I'm calling this a triangle. Triangles tend to be penultimate moves. That means when a triangle hits its target, there tends to be a reversal upward that goes through the triangle. It's also suspicious that the triangle went all the way to the apex. Typically, if a triangle is going to make a large move, it will come at the junction of the older 2/3 and newer 1/3 of the triangle. The closer we come to the apex of the triangle, the more likely the move is to be false and not have staying power. It's always tough to catch a falling knife. There is a good chance of a gap up tomorrow. We might even hit this target. One thing to be aware of is that we closed right on a very significant trend line, which was hit quite a few times. I think this trend line will break at some point. If we gap under it tomorrow, all this talk about a recovery is probably going to be wishful thinking. But absent such a gap down, which I'm not expecting, I think we have a decent chance for a gap up and might even hit the 1950.17 target. That does not change the long-term opinion that the big bull market's probably done. And that's today's call.